Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy MD's Baseball Podcast. Today is March 28th, 2022. This is episode number 8. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here with my co-host as always, Matthew Arne. Matt, how's it going, bud?
Doing pretty good. Got some spring training. Got some stats, adjusting some rankings. Draft time's almost here. Yo, it's a good time of the year. How you doing?
I'm doing great. As you said, excited, watching a lot of spring training games, getting my notes together, getting my rankings together. Got a couple drafts coming up this weekend. I'm excited, man. Couldn't be more excited for baseball at the moment. So today we're going to be bringing our relief pitcher rankings a little bit later in the episode, but we're going to start off here with some news, and then we're going to get into spring training breakouts, guys that we're high on. We're really going to focus on some spring training stats and see who's stocks up and stocks down. So to bring in the news, some fun news for the fans, just a real baseball heartwarming story. Cardinals are bringing back Albert Pujols, which is super cool. You know, he was there for most of his career, and I think that's great. You know, it's going to be his last season. He announced he's going to retire after this season. I just think it's super cool. Might not be very fantasy relevant anymore, but it's just a fun story for baseball. Matt, any thoughts on Pujols going back home?
I mean, it's a great way to end his career since he, pretty much got his start there. It's a nice little Cinderella story, and I'm happy for the guy.
Yeah, man. Definitely. So one more little news note we want to hit on is Tommy Pham got signed to the Reds. Think that's a little interesting, because they have a bunch of room in that lineup now, and it's a great park to hit in. I think he could potentially be a 2020 guy. I think I got my top 60 outfielders now. So, if you're looking for somebody a little bit later in your drafts that can offer a little bit of speed, a little bit of power, I think Tommy Pham could be an interesting. Last year, I read you off his stats. He had 74 runs, 15 bombs, 49 RBIs, 14 steals, and he only hit 229. So, I mean, like I said, it's a little power speed combo. Matt, any thought here on Tommy Pham to the Reds?
I don't think it has any fantasy relevance, to be completely honest. It's not really for me. I'm not even going to look at him. If you're in like a 15 or deeper league, or some AL or NL only, whatever one he's in these days, then he has some relevancy. But other than that, I'm really not a big fan.
All right. Well, I hope Tommy Pham don't listen to the podcast. But all right. So let's get into some more fun, interesting stuff here, guys. We're going to be talking about some stock up, stock down things here with spring training wise. One huge one that I'm going to let Matt take the lead on here because it's his boy. One of his big time keepers in our big money league. Matt, why don't you just go for it? I'm not even going to say the name. I'll let you take it over.
So we're going to talk about my man, Bobby Witt, the number one prospect for this year. It looks like the kid's going to break camp. Thank God, because thank you for that new deal. And, personally, I think that he's going to have an incredible season. So what he did this year during spring training is just absolutely bananas. So he's had 16 at bats, and he turned that into four runs. He had a double, 2 bombs, 5 ribbies, a stolen base, only struck out once, and he's batting .438. I mean, you can't ask for much more, especially when you're looking for somebody that's going to translate into the bigs. First time really getting any big league experience, and he's already smacking around. I'm smelling a lot of Chris Bryant spring training. Except we're probably not going to have to wait those 2 weeks. I'm very excited. He went up my rankings astronomically. I think he's my number 7 overall shortstop.
Yeah, I'm backing everything Matt said. It just really looks like he's proven himself here. I can't see any reason that the Royals could possibly come up with to hold him down. He's going to get third base eligibility when he comes up because they announced they want him playing that position, and third base is putrid this year. So I definitely think I moved him up into my top 10 third baseman. Shortstop's a little deeper, so I think you might have him around 12 at short, which is still amazing. The kid's upside, I think, is 30-30 with a great batting average, and, runs and RBIs are going to be good. That lineup's going to be sneaky good this year. I think the ceiling that we're going to be talking about Bobby Witt as a second, third round pick next year. So I'm moving him up. Like Matt said, guys, move him up. Draft him with confidence. I can't see a reason to hate. Only thing I'll throw out there is over the last 2 years specifically, prospects have had a harder time translating. Hence Kelnick and Duran, who actually maybe will transition into here. So as I said, prospects have had a hard time translating, but this guy, Jarrod Duran, outfielder for Boston Red Sox, he's actually raking so far in spring training. He didn't do great when he came up last year. I'll read you off his numbers from last season just to give you an idea of what he did do when he came up. After he got the call last year, it was 33 games, 107 at-bats, 17 runs, 2 bombs, 10 RBIs, 2 steals, and he only hit .215. And here's one of the most scary things. 40 strikeouts and only 4 walks. So that just shows no plate discipline. He's swinging and missing at everything. And it really looked kind of down for him. But, he's looking a lot better in spring training so far this year. He's got 9 games, 18 at-bats, 4 runs, 6 hits, a double, no runs or RBIs, 1 steal. And the ratio looks a lot better here. It's 6 strikeouts, 3 walks with a .333 batting average. So he's looking better. Matt, I know this is another guy that you're high on. Any thoughts on Duran here?
When he was coming up, I was actually really excited for him. There was a lot of upside surrounding him, what he could be. So when he got the call up and he did what he did last year was pretty disappointing. Ultimately, I think that the kid has a good talent because what he did in the minors was pretty promising. So he had – plate appearances, 283 at bats. He had 46 runs, 11 doubles, two triples, 16 home runs, 36 ribbies, 16 stolen bases. He batted about 258. But the year before, he batted 400 in a limited COVID season in Puerto Rico. And then for 2 teams, he batted 288 as well. And 20, I guess that's when they did all their wonderful little stuff for the minors and stuff. But he has a better batting average than what he's showing in the bigs. And personally, I think he could take a step forward. What he's doing in spring is kind of encouraging. I'm not saying, you run out and draft him or even, draft him as your last pick, but at least, the second your draft's over and he's available, put him on your watch list, see how he does for the first couple of days, and then you maybe scoop him up.
Yeah. I think Duran is one of your late round flyers. You could totally do worse. Like Matt explained, he's got a lot of upside, kid hit throughout all the minors. But my point there is it's kind of tough for some of these young kids to transition into the big leagues. So don't be shocked if we start to see, over these next few years, some of these prospects take a little bit longer than an Acuna or Soto or a Tatis, So just be patient with some of these guys. Don't forget about them. Perfect example I can give you is a guy like Byron Buxton, who also is raking this spring training. I'm going to see if I can get you those numbers while I rant about him a little bit. But Byron Buxton is another guy who took so long. He was the number 1 prospect coming up for a long, long time. And it took him until last year to pan out. I'm actually going to read you his spring training numbers. This is a fun guy to talk about, so I want to talk about him anyway. 7 games, 17 at-bats, 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 of them are doubles, 1's a home run. He's got 2 RBIs. He's got a steal, 5 strikeouts, no walks, which is a little scary. But he's hitting .294. So I think Byron Buxton is somebody who, even though he's been injury prone, is a super interesting name. I think I don't want to say stock super up on him, but I want to say that it's a little bit reassuring to see him in spring training games, running, hitting, and doing all the things that we need to see guys doing coming into the season healthy, Matt, any thoughts on Buxton here? I know I just threw him at you, but I figured he's an interesting name.
It's easy to talk about Byron Buxton's upside. So, if you look at those little stints of what he did last year, anytime he's really, really healthy and he's getting in a groove right before he goes down with some kind of injury like Alberto Mondesi, it's encouraging. I just think Buxton has a lot of upside. I think way more than Mondesi. I didn't even mean to bring his name up, but
feel free. This is a free range episode. Free range here episode. We could talk about anything. Yeah. Let's just get the fans the information out there.
Yeah. So it's encouraging that he's running and doing what he's got to do. Let's just hope that he can put it together and stay healthy for a full season, because then you're talking about a top 10 back.
Yeah, I think so. That's going to be the thing with him. I'm going to read off last year what Byron Buxton did in a small clip. It was 61 games, 235 at-bats, 50 runs, 19 home runs, 32 RBIs, 9 steals. He had 13 walks, 62 strikeouts, so that's not great, but it shows he was walking a little bit, and he hit 306. So Buxton's showing us, like Matt said, he could be a first round talent if he really puts everything together. I think it's going to be interesting. But you know what? Let's head back over to Boston. We were just over there. As Yankee fans, we don't like hanging on over there too much, but they do have a lot of fun young players to talk about. Matt, why don't I pass this one over to you, because I think you know where I'm headed here.
Yeah, so this is one of those instances where Dom was talking about guys that have a monster spring and then don't translate once the season starts. So last year, he was doing legitimately the same exact thing. He was mashing the ball, hitting home runs out the butt. And it looks like he's doing it again. He already has 2 bombs in. Who
are we talking about here, Matt? Did you mention it?
Did I not say Bobby Dulbeck? I apologize.
I don't think we did. That's Big Bobby D. Bobby Dulbeck, Boston, first and third.
My bad, guys.
You're good, Matt. You're good.
So Bobby Dulbeck of Boston, he was a prospect. Like I said, had all that wonderful stuff going on spring training and didn't translate. He ended up churning out an okay season. But this is promising that he's doing it again in spring training and hoping he's going to take a step forward. So 7 ribbies, 2 bombs, batting .278, no walks though, and 5 strikeouts, and that seemed to be his problem last year. So what he did last year was not fun either. So ultimately, what he did was he had 417 at bats, 50 runs, 25 bombs, which is really nice. 78 ribbies, 2 stolen bases, and batted .240. That's the part that kills you. You want to see a little bit more higher profile from him in terms of the batting average. Hopefully, we can get it up to like 250, 260. With those kind of numbers, I'd be pretty happy, especially where you're going to be able to get him this year. Dom, anything?
Yeah, I'm high on Bobby Dulbeck, and I'm going to tell you this. Matt read off his full season numbers. I'm going to read off what he did in just the second half last year. Just in the second half alone, Bobby Dulbeck played 61 games. It's 175 at bats. He had 15 bombs, 42 RBIs, chipped in a steal, and guess what, Matt? He had 269. Wow. I know it's a small sample size. I know 61 games, 175 at-bats. But to hit 15 home runs in 175 at-bats and hit 269, to me, that's impressive. And he's only going to be 27 this year. And Matt, did you read off his spring training stats? What he's doing in spring training so far?
Yeah, I did.
So he's going off, as Matt said, those 2 bombs, 7 ribs, and that batting average is at 280. So, I mean, I'm impressed. I'm more than impressed with him. I'm not moving him up super high in my rankings, but I'm definitely, as I'm going later in the rounds, first base is weak this year, third base is weak this year. He's eligible at both of those positions in most leagues. So I'm definitely keeping a radar on him. If I miss out at the position, or if I get a guy a little early that I'm not super sure on, I definitely don't mind having Bobby Dulbeck as my utility or my first bench player ready to come in and take that first base or third base spot if my guys don't perform. I'm not worried about him at all. I actually think he's going to translate this year.
I mean,
Matt, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah,
that's bold. I mean, so one thing about it that I didn't know was that second half, because I kind of just was like, hands up, I'm done with this guy.
No, the power's real. That's the thing. Yeah. He's a guy that could legitimately hit 40 home runs. I mean, if he's hitting 40 home runs, I don't think the batting average is 270, but I'll take a Max Muncy 240, 250. That's not end of the world. 40 home runs is helpful in fantasy, and I don't care what kind of league you're talking about. 40 home runs is going to help you.
Yeah, I mean, what he did at the end of the season and what he's doing this season is kind of showing a trend, at least what I was trying to say. So, it's something that's going to be interesting. So if he keeps this up in the regular season, sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, I think so too. So where did you want to go next, Matt? Anyone standing out to you?
So let's talk about your boy. I'm going to let you take this one.
Which one? I'm excited.
Cody Bellinger.
Oh, okay. Here, we're going to have a field day with this one, guys. Okay, so here's the thing with Cody Bellinger. I totally thought after the playoffs last year, he's bouncing back. He had a great playoff run last year. He looked great for the Dodgers down the stretch there. But here's the thing. He is only going to be 26 years old this year. So, I mean, I'm not ready to fully write him off. But, guys, here's what's going on in spring training. I've seen a lot of his at-bats so far, guys. I got the MLB TV, and I'm on there watching, doing my scouting. Guys, he looks really bad. It's 7 games, 19 at-bats. So think about this. 19 at-bats. Matt, you know how many strikeouts he has?
14.
14. He has 14 strikeouts and 19 at-bats. It's 3 hits. They're all singles. No extra base hits. 1 walk. I mean, what's there to be excited about at this point? He's still going inside the top 100. I mean, I'm sure if anyone's watching spring training, if he's ADP's going to fall, but I'm still not interested at this point. I'm passing. Give me Christian Yelich over him at this point. I'll take the Christian Yelich bounce back over Cody Bellinger bounce back. He just looks lost at the plate. There's no plate discipline. He's swinging at everything. It doesn't matter where they're throwing. They could have Vincente Padilla up there pitching, and this guy's still going to strike out at this point. The only reason I could possibly have any interest in him, it's the Dodgers lineup, and it's not even Cody Bellinger. It's like, oh, he's going to be in a Dodgers lineup, so he might score runs. That's it. Matt, any thoughts here before I just keep ranting about how bad Cody Bellinger is? I hope he doesn't listen either.
He's probably going to end up punching you. So
yeah, right.
Bellinger is a curious case. I really hope it's not the shoulder thing, because it may be indicating, since he did come off that shoulder injury, I think he had something done to it, a little surgery, missed a good chunk of the season last year.
Yeah, he was banged up.
So, it's one of those things where I hope it's not nagging him or he's sore because of the ramp up. But that's the other thing. So, yeah, I'm not drafting him in the top 100, and I'm hoping his ADP falls. But if he's around, pick 120, 140, 150, and he's sitting there still, I'm probably going to snag him for that upside, because you got to forget, ex-All-Star, ex-MVP, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
There's that talent and that power. It may take a little bit of time, but if I'm getting him around those prices after pick 100, after pick 120, that's where that range is, where I'm kind of okay with it, especially if, I missed out on all the outfielders, and he's my outfielder 3, and I'm like, okay, well, my pitching stacked, or, I got a really good infield, then I'm okay with it. And then I'll just take the shot and I'll see what's going on. There's definitely upside to be had. I'm definitely not drafting him in the top 100.
Yeah, he's going to be interesting, man.
I did it in a mock today. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to look over his stats here again before we move on, and just see if there's anything else that stands out to me. And it's just the only thing I could keep seeing is the last 2 years look really bad, and the 2019 where he won the MVP looks really good, where he hit the 47 bombs, 115 RBIs, 15 steals, and he hit 305. Just so I will mention the upside Matt is talking about. Upside is MVP, because once a player has shown a skill, usually they own that skill. So once a guy's hit 40 bombs, it says he can hit 40 bombs again. He's done it before, he can do it again. So their upside is there with him. From there, let's transition over to let's throw in a pitcher here. Yeah. Let's talk about Justin Verlander. Another guy coming off surgery here. Guy is one of the best pitchers I've seen my generation. He's a former Cy Young, former MVP. I'll read you off Justin Verlander's last healthy year here, so you kind of get an idea of what he's capable of. Still, he's going to be 38 or 39. I'm sorry, he's going to be 39 this year. His last healthy season was in 2019 at age 36, and he had 21 wins, 2.58 ERA, 34 starts, 223 innings, 300 strikeouts, and an 0.80 ERA. So, I mean, it's Justin Verlander for you. The guy just is one of the best pitchers of our generation. 16 years in the bigs. He's looking great so far in spring training. He's thrown 4.2 innings, 4 strikeouts, only 2 walks. He hasn't given up a run, and he's got a 107 whip. So, I mean, and the velocity looks there. I watched one of his starts. I don't know if it's 2 starts yet. So I did watch one of those starts, and the velocity was up. I saw him touching 98. I mean, I like Justin Verlander a lot. I don't want to really say too much more. Matt, thoughts?
I think that Verlander is going to be a full send this year.
I'd hands down.
I'm just mad because we have a draft this week. But
yeah,
I'm going to talk about him.
Everyone's going to listen like, oh, Justin Verlander.
But I'm going to talk about him because I'm still not scared of anything.
Go ahead, brother.
So just a heads up, everybody knows I'm not scared. You can show up on my rankings. I'll email them. But anyway, Verlander is showing a lot of promise due to the fact that he's hitting the high velocity after TJ and really not pitching. And, it looks like he's Verlander. And you know what? That's a scary dude. I think he's going to be a really nice value. He's not really flying up the draft board. And from what I'm seeing, I think the ADP is still outside of the top 100.
Yeah, do you have the ADP? Because I'm actually curious. Matt, since this is going to be a fun episode, I want to pull up his ADP.
While I'm ranting, you look that up for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think that right now, if I remember correctly where he's going well outside the top 100.
You're spot on, Matt. 106 ADP here.
So that's a value and a half right now.
26 starting pitcher according to Fantasy Pros.
Right. So I give it another couple of days. That's probably going to go, especially if you're listening to this podcast. He's going to be bumped up. But I mean, even at the bottom end of the top 100, you're talking 90s. I'm willing to pick him. That he's going around like guys like Webb and things like that. I'd probably take Webb over him, but that's just because that's how high I have him. But outside of that, that's where the drop off starts kicking in with, guys in the ADP realm, not my rankings, and just snag them up, and you're gonna have it ready to go.
I think that's a great transition. So let's talk about Logan Webb, another guy who broke out last year. Going to read you his stats from last year. Logan Webb with the Giants last year at age 24. So he's still super young. Looks like he had 26 starts, 27 games. So he did come out of the bullpen once here with the stat line. A 3.03 ERA, 148 innings, 158 strikeouts, and a 1.10 whip. So, and he went 11-3. I think that's really good. I love the Giants team, and it's a great ballpark to pitch in. And Matt and I have been ranting about this, and I'm pretty sure we brought it up in our starting pitcher episode, but the Giants are just really good with starting pitching lately. They've taken a lot of guys over the years and just turned them into very, very good pitchers. And I think they're going to do the same here with Webb. There is one little concern that I was talking to Matt with before we started here. In spring training, actually.
No, he's doing all right.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, maybe I did look up the wrong thing.
You looked up the wrong Web, so let me talk about him because you disrespected him today.
Yeah, no, it looks like he actually is pitching good here.
I got this.
Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
I got the stats in front of me. So
no, I see it too. Go ahead.
So this is one of my favorite pitches this year. It looks like he's, picking up where he left off. So he has a 1.8 ERA. He has 2 games started, 5 innings pitched. He's only allowed 1 run. And with that, he has 10 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And 20. Oh, no, never.
Oh, wait. Time out, Matt. I think he pitched today. That's the thing. See, that's what I did say.
So maybe he got lit up today.
He didn't get lit up. How many runs did he give up overall according to you? You're on Baseball Reference, right?
Right, 1.
Okay, so then he gave up 4 runs today. He had a 4-run start. Yeah, I mean, which is only 1 start. Like you said, maybe he's working on something. So I do want to. Yeah, I'll take back what I said.
Guys play with launch angles.
Yeah.
I mean, not launch angles. That's hitting.
No, I know. Yeah.
Release points and curves and spins and grips. So he's probably playing with some new pitch.
He does have 15 strikeouts though, which is very. I like that.
10 strikeouts.
No, well, here's the thing. He started today, I believe it was, or yesterday, because MLB has the updated ones. They update it as like right after they pitch. So he's got 9 innings. It's 15 Ks, 5 earned runs. But I like it. I like it. I like the strikeouts to the innings. Like we've been saying, maybe he's working on something there. But I think he's in both of our top 20s. So at least, minimum. So
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, guys, I'm drafting Logan Webb with confidence. A lot of people are high on him this year. He changed his pitch mix coming into last year, which has helped him. I believe it was the slider he was really working on, if I remember correctly. Yep. So, I mean, guys, I like Logan Webb. Matt, same thing here. We're both high on Logan Webb. I think that's the consensus.
Yes, sir.
So where do you want to go next, my brother? I'll throw one your way. Who do you want to talk about?
All right, let's talk about somebody you're also down on this year, but I'm pretty high on. And
damn, I guess I got the haterade today, huh?
Yeah, you do, especially today because we're doing prep, and he's like prepping on all these guys.
Just hating on everybody.
Yeah, he got the haterade cup. He stole it from my house. Here.
Cheers.
So we're going to talk about Francisco Lindor. So he's having a pretty good spring. I'm not even going to lie about this. So he's been killing it. He had 17 at bats. He's got 4 runs. He's got 3 home runs, 6 ribbies. He walked only 3 strikeouts out of that many at bats, and he's batting .412. So
he has 3 home runs. Jeez.
Yeah. So Francisco Lindor just looks like, hey, like last year was a rough start. Didn't play all spring training. Didn't even play almost the whole first month last year, I believe. And on top of that, he's on a new team, playing in a way bigger park. So you know what? I'm going to give last year a pass, and God help us if he starts doing what he used to do in 2019. So,
yeah, I'm looking over here, and like Matt said, the spring training stats look great. Last year wasn't very good, but I'm going to check his splits. I want to see if he picked it up in the second half, because that will be very telling. Because like Matt said, he was in the MVP races in 18 and 19. He had 30 plus bombs. So let's see. I got his splits up here. It looks like towards the end of the year, the September, October, going to read you off that. It was 30 games, 113 at-bats, 23 runs, which is nice. He actually hit 9 home runs. Think about this. So this is 30 games, 9 home runs at the end of the year in September, October for Lindor, 25 RBIs, no steals, and he hit 257. So that's an improvement overall in the year last year for Lindor. He hit 230. So 257 it's in the right direction. And then as Matt said, he's raking the spring training, hitting 400. Maybe he's starting to get comfortable here in New York, Lindor. I'm actually might have to move up my rankings a little bit, to be honest with you. It might be a little low, might have been a little lower on him, but he's looking hot. It looks things look up. Things look up for Francisco Lindor right now.
I'm gonna say so.
Yeah, right. All right, so let's keep it moving here. Let's maybe move back over to the, we'll keep ping-ponging pitcher hitter here. Let's go with the New York Yankee. This is all right. Matt, you want me to drink the haterade here? I'm gonna do it on one of my home guys. On somebody who I've owned a lot over the past few years. That's Luis Severino, starting pitcher of the New York Yankees. And I will tell you this is somebody I've definitely watched a lot of their starts. Actually, they've only had 2, and I've watched both of them. It seems like it's been a lot more the rate this guy's just been getting hit. So I'm gonna read you Luis Severino's line for this spring training. It's 2 starts. It's a 17.18 ERA, 3.2 innings. He's given up 7 runs, 8 hits, a home run, 5 walks, only 1 strikeout. And Matt, you want to hear this whip? It is a 3.54 whip. Now, and that's not an ERA. That's not an ERA. That's a whip. It's the whip of a 3.54. So he's got an ERA as his whip right now. Matt, I moved Severino down earlier this morning. I don't know where you got him, but I think I moved him down to the 40s, maybe 45, and I had him up around 30. So he's just hit the fall for me here. He doesn't look right. I think something's wrong.
So, I mean, he is coming off TJ.
I know.
He had like 2 starts last year.
So, yes, I have his reference up here, so I will tell you exactly what he had last year. He didn't start. He came out of the pen for 4 games. It was 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, and the whip was good. It was an 0.5 whip, and he didn't give up a run either. So, it was good, but something looks off this spring training. I couldn't tell you what it is, but something looks off.
One thing you got to remember is a guy coming off TJ is somebody he's going to lose control for a bit. And that's what I think we're seeing here. I don't think he's done, but
I don't think he's done. I'm not saying that. I'm not
drafting him. I'm not drafting him high at all. He's not even in my pick 150 consideration. But you know what? I'm willing to take a shot on him, but I'm not going to risk my whole lineup on him. But I'll tell you what, there is a lot of upside if he starts doing what he was doing a couple of years ago, which there definitely is a possibility. Maybe he's trying out some new things to adjust to everything that he's going through. And maybe the mechanics aren't there. So, I'm speculating, but you know what? With a guy with a talent, you know what? I don't think you just lose the talent. I think you just got to adjust to your body with your talent. So that takes some time. And that's, I think, where we're at right now. But it is not encouraging.
Yeah, so I'll say this. He is only going to be 28 this year, so that's not bad. He's still pretty young. And I'm going to talk about the upside that Matt's mentioning here. In 2018, Luis Severino went 19-8 across 32 starts, had a 3.39 ERA in 191 innings with 220 strikeouts, and the whip was a 1.14. So that's a top 20 guy easy right there. The upside is really high. But once again, and I hate to sound like a broken record, I think something with either it's the mechanics or whether he's trying out new stuff. I would need to see, maybe he's got 2 starts left here before the start of the season. I'm going to have to see something here to take, like I said, we got drafts coming up this weekend, guys. And it's just like, there's so many good starting pitchers. It's just like, why am I going to take a risk on a guy who I don't know what's going to happen here. I think it's like if anybody watches Family Guy, it's like Matt, you ever see that episode where he's like, oh, you want a mystery box or do you want a boat? And then Peter's like, a boat's a boat, but a mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. So to me, it's like I'm going to take the boats and I'm going to leave the mystery box up to everybody else. That's my Luis Severino reference here. I mean, if you want to move on from there, we totally can. And you could throw out another name, Matt.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring it back to the bats since we're going with it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And that's going to be Jarrod Clinic.
Okay. Interesting.
Some more bad news. And this one seems to be sticking. So what we saw last year, I think, is what's going to continue. So he's not doing good, ladies and gentlemen. So
it's really bad.
He has 17 plate appearances. He has 1 run, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, and 1 ribby, and he's batting 118. This ain't good, ladies and gentlemen. No walks. This is not good. I think this is the beginning of the end for Jarrod Clinic.
Yeah.
I think he's an outright bust.
I'm not drafting him this year either, Matt. Just gonna bounce off of what you're saying here. He was a highly touted prospect coming into last year. But he didn't really show anything. When he got called up to the big leagues, he had 93 games. He had 41 runs, 14 home runs, 43 RBIs, 6 steals, but he only hit 181 and he had 106 strikeouts and only 36 walks. So, I mean, some of the stats look fun. The 14 home runs and 6 steals looks fun, but everything else just murdered you. I remember when he got called up, it was like the first 41 games where he did absolutely nothing. And I know he caught a little bit of fire, there in the middle, but I know then towards the end he slowed down again. So he had a little tiny bit of a peak, but that was about it, man. I mean, I'm just really out on him this year. As Matt pointed out, the spring training line's atrocious. So unless he's like your last pick of your draft because you really think that there's something left, I don't see any reason to take him unless it's like Dynasty or 20-man league. It's just that somebody who I'm just totally out on this year. I'm just Jarrod Clinic. I'm just done with him.
Done.
It's awesome.
All right. So this is what I'm thinking. We talk about one more guy.
Yeah,
we get into our relief pitching. So
that sounds great, brother.
So here's one that I think we should talk about, and that's going to be Alex Bregman. I'm going to eat some crow just a tad, and I'm going to say that I guess that hand is looking a lot better, and I'm going to say that I guess he's not. He may be a little bit better than I thought this year, but I still do not have hope. I'm going to stand by that. I don't think he's going to be as good as he is in the past, but he is look like he's going to be a better third baseman and more worthy of my 10th overall ranking at third base. So right now what he's doing is he has 2 runs, 2 doubles, no home runs yet, 3 strikeouts, no walks, but he's batting .444. So, I mean, it's a promising start. I think that maybe this is kind of what the baseline is going to be. You're going to have like a very good bat that's going to, get you some average, very minimal pop. It's going to get you the peripherals of the runs and the ribbies. I don't know how you feeling about him.
Yeah, see, if you listen to our third base episode, one thing that I did mention, as Matt's saying here, he's a career 281 hitter. Alex Bregman is, so I think that you're definitely going to get some batting average from him. The pop, I mean, that's a big question mark because he still hasn't hit a home run yet this spring. It's only 3 games, so I'm not going to say he's not going to hit any home runs, but I don't know if he's going to get back to that 31 of 2018 or that 41 of 2019. But if he can give you 25 bombs with a good batting average, in that lineup, the runs and RBIs are just going to happen because it's a very, very good lineup. He's got a lot of guys in front of him that can hit, got some guys behind him that can drive him in. So I'm I like Alex Bregman as far as third base goes. Am I reaching for him in drafts being like, oh, I got to have Alex Bregman because he's Alex Bregman? No, not at all. But if, you could do totally way worse at third base than Alex Bregman. So as Matt said, that's our little spring training, stock up, stock down, guys we like, guys that, we think are improving, guys that we think aren't really worth anything. So from there, we're going to transition to our second half of the podcast, which is going to be our relief pitcher rankings. We're going to go through our consensus top 10, and we're going to tell you where we got the guys ranked in our own top 10s as we go along. So starting off here is we have a little tie for number one. We go back and forth. I'm going to start off with my number one. It's Josh Hader. I have him number one just because of the consistency and how long he's been doing it. I mean, the guy's been arguably the best closer since, 2019. He had last year, I'm going to read you his line, which is absolutely wonderful line. He went 4 wins, 2 losses, a 1.23 ERA across 60 games. He had 34 saves, 58.2 innings with 102 strikeouts and the whip of 0.83. So, he's just one of the best closers in baseball, always getting it done, very, very reliable. I think he's going to have a huge number of strikeouts. He's going to give you a good amount of innings, and I don't really think there's much else to say about Josh Hader besides, a very, very high-end choice. I'd say take him highly. And, Matt, any thoughts here on Hader?
No, I think you covered it. You draft him with confidence and you move on. It's one of those click it and forget it. But we'll move on to my number one, and that's Liam Hendrix, our consensus number 2. Mm-hmm. And one of the many reasons why I feel he's going to be, why I think he's number one is just the team he's on. I mean, obviously the talent, he's incredible. I'll read you what he did last year. He pitched 71 innings. He had 8 Ws, 38 saves, 113 Ks, a 2.54 ERA with an 0.73 whip. Now, that's some solid numbers. I mean, it ain't no 1.23 ERA, but you know what? I think
the whip was better, though. The whip was better.
Whip was definitely better, and he had more wins. So, I mean, it's a nice little bump, a little grab on the week maybe that can help you out, maybe push you over the edge to get that category over somebody else. It's one of those things where White Sox are a significantly better team and they're only getting better. So therefore, he has a higher probability of being in that position to take that and close it out. So,
100%.
I think this year he's going to be the best closer in baseball.
Matt, it's hard to disagree with you that at all. I feel like this is a situation like we had at first base with Vlad and Freddie. It's just like, I don't even think it's a 1-2. I think it's like a 1A, 1B. It's more of a preference thing there. It's these guys, I do want to preface this going into the position here. These 2 guys specifically are the only 2 closers that I feel deserve to be drafted within like the first 10 rounds. Now, people want to disagree with me. There's other types of leagues. There's drafts and holds. There's all other types of leagues. But we're talking about the average home league. That's what we're really here for, guys. We're here for the average fan that, just playing their home league and stuff like that is just trying to get an edge. So that's my edge. That's my thoughts here on the position is I'm not really going that high on closers. If you're not getting a Hader or a Hendrix, you wait till you're the later rounds of your draft. You see who's left over, and there you make the move. I don't know how you feel about that type of strategy in most leagues, but I just think that's where you're going to get an advantage. Because if you don't get one of these 2, you might as well just wait. Because this position closer is so volatile that we can go in and we're going to read you our top 10 here. But I guarantee going into next year that 5-6 of these guys aren't even going to be on the list. There's going to be a whole bunch of new guys. So, Matt, I know I'm ranting there, but I want to hear your thoughts on my little my rant.
I mean, I think you nailed it. It's one of those things where, it's nobody's job is safe except for the 2 guys pretty much that we just rattled off. Maybe a couple more guys we're going to talk about, but I mean, top 5 is pretty much safe and then you're done. So, you draft these guys. I don't know even if I'm not really, we call it a relief early. I kind of just let it ride. And I kind of deal with guys like who we'll talk about later, like a Knable or something, and, go that route and get a little bit more talent in the other categories versus, one category that I'm pretty much drafting them for. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I think we should move on here.
Definitely. So, I'll get into our next guy here. Our number 3 consensus is Kenley Jensen. Somebody who's recently signed to Kenley Jensen. Sorry, I said that wrong.
Yeah.
He recently just got signed to the Braves, and I think he took Will Smith's job, which is unfortunate because Will Smith would have been one of those closers who's very very reliable and doing it for a long time. But Kenley heading over there, supposedly he's going to be the one closing out games. I'll read you his stats from last year. He's getting a little bit older. He's going to be 34 this year. But once again, what Kenley did last year, he went 4 wins, 4 losses, a 2.22 ERA in 69 games, 69 innings as well. He had 86 strikeouts, and he had a 104 whip. My thoughts on Kenley specifically, I have him ranked as my number 3, and it's really just because of that he's been, been just super, super reliable, his whole career. Going back to 2012, he's been, dominant closer. He's closed every single one of those years since 2012. So I think that you could just rely on him. I think you throw him out there every weekend, you're going to get saves. Matt, thoughts here on Kenley?
I think Kenley Jensen's solid. I'm actually glad that he took the job of Will Smith. Right, that was his name.
Yes,
I did not have.
No, you're perfect.
So I think that personally, Will Smith gave up too much. I really didn't like him last year. I mean, he was a good closer, got your saves, but it wasn't great. I think that there's a lot more upside with having Kenley Jensen on the, former World Series winner, champions, Atlanta Braves with that lineup, which is going to be ridiculous. It's one of those scenarios where, I feel very comfortable rolling him out there every week and he's not going to lose his job.
Yeah. So with that being said, guys, take Kenley with confidence. That Atlanta Braves team's going to win a lot of games, and I'm sure he's going to save a bunch of those. Going down our list here, we have Edwin Diaz at number 4 of the New York Mets. I think another guy that, I know that I was saying at the top that, it's really just Hendrix and Hader. These other next few guys are reliable. I'm not as confident in him as those other two, but if these are guys that fall, I'm not mad at taking them. So once again, Edwin Diaz here. I'll read you off what he did last year. 27 years old last year, going to be 28 this year. He went 5 wins, 6 losses, a 3.45 ERA. He had 32 saves, 62 innings, 89 strikeouts, and he had a 105 whip. So now I will say this, the whip is very, very improved on him. The last few years, the whip was very, very high. So I do like to see that, as he's getting a little older, seems he's starting to find some control. I think the Mets are going to win a lot more games this year than they did last year. So that saves, can go up from 32. Maybe he gets up to 40. It would be super interesting. He did blow 6 saves last year. So, if he can convert a few more of those, I think he does push maybe 40 saves in a really good Mets team. So I think he's definitely a top 5 closer, hands down. Matt's thoughts here on Edwin Diaz of the Mets?
So Edwin Diaz is somebody that's been doing it forever. And he's all reliable as well. So, I'm going to read his best year off, and that's going to be where he had 57 saves in a single season in 2018.
Yes, sir.
So you want to talk about volatility, somebody that's, all reliable, this is the guy. And it's not like he had a putrid year in 2019 either. He had 26 saves. And then last year, he still had 32. So, I'm not mad at that production. If anything, I think he's got too much hate because of the ERA. But personally, I'm not drafting a closer for his ERA. I'm drafting him for his saves and get me that only category that they're even good for. As long as they're not nuking me and getting a 4 or 5 ERA and they're just getting a boatload of saves, they're doing their job for me, and I'm not mad at it. Because 7 innings aren't going to affect, if they even get 7 innings in a week, are not going to affect my total ERA with my innings pitched. So I'm not mad at it. And if I'm getting 32, how you doing?
Yeah, I think Edwin Diaz is another guy who's super, super reliable. Now, here we get into somebody who, Matt, you actually have a little bit quite high here. So I'm going to pass him off to you. That's Jordan Romano of the Toronto Blue Jays. I know you were just ranting, but it is somebody you have a little bit higher. So I would like to hear your thoughts on him.
Right. So Jordan Romano, the only reason he's so high is just based off of the fact of the team he's on. He's a little bit on the young side, but the fact that he really got the trust of the team last year, pretty much.
He's actually going to be 29. He's not super, super young.
His baseball career is young.
Yeah. Yes. True. Very true.
So he's only been in the bigs for 3 years.
Yeah, and then last year's the first time he really got the chance to throw.
Yes. So they really unleashed him and gave him the trust, and he churned it out. And I think that this year there's probably a little bit more upside, especially now he's going to have a little bit more confidence. The team is a lot better. And I think the opportunity is quite big, and I think he's being overlooked. So again, this is my ranking, not ADP. So you're going to be able to get him at a value. He's probably going to be anywhere from your number 2 closer to possibly even sneaking him in. Somebody's really looking over him. But right now, I mean, last year he did 23 saves last year, and he had a 2.14 ERA with a 105 WHIP and 85 Ks. And that's his first year with the at the helm. Yeah, I'm going to take that upside. I think there's a lot more behind that and a lot more to come. And I see Dom making that face. That means he's probably thinking about raising him in those rankings. I'm just saying.
I like him. I got him. I'll tell you where I have Matt. Matt has him ranked 3rd. I have him ranked number 8. And here's the thing: is I do think I keep him there. My thing is, and me and Matt and I were talking about this earlier. When it comes to closers specifically, for me, another theory. I'm going to throw out a lot of theories on closers here apparently today. Another theory I have on closers is I'm going to take guys that have done it before. I want guys that have been the closer or a closer for a team for before 2 years, 3 years, or they've been the closer of their own team for a while. So I do have some guys ranked ahead of him that we are going to get to a little bit later on here. I'm just going to throw out 2 names specifically, Blake Trinin and Cory Knebel. Those are guys that weren't the closers of their teams last year, but they have been very successful closers before. They've had a lot more innings under their belt than a guy like Romano. So that's why I do have him a little bit lower. And I mean, you know what, Matt might be right. The kid's got a lot of upside here, especially on a team like the Blue Jays that are going to be in a lot of close games, and they're going to win a lot of those close games. And if he's the guy closing it out all year long, yeah, he could totally wind up with 35 saves. I'm not against that at all. But I just like guys with a little bit more, a little bit more safety behind them. So, let's get into our next guy here, number 6. This is another guy who, is one of those guys who is a little bit safer. That's Ryan Presley of the Houston Astros. And I'm going to read off what he did last year here. Last year he had a 5-3 record with a 2.25 ERA, 26 saves, 64 innings, 81 strikeouts, and a 0.96 WHIP. So a guy who is very, very good, and he did get a chance to close in the COVID year, and he did very well that year too. He had 12 saves, 21 innings, 29 Ks. WHIP was a little bit higher in a 1.13, but that's not his norm. So I'm not really worried about, him, and I think that Houston Astros team's going to win a lot of games. He is going to be 33 this year, so a little bit on the older end, but once again, I like a guy like that that's been around a little bit longer, knows what he's doing, Matt, thoughts here on Ryan Presley?
Safe as can be. I think that if you're going into the draft and you walk away with him as your RP1, I think you're pretty happy about it. You're feeling pretty good. You know that you're going to compete in that category. Yeah. So, you did a good job. And I think we could just move on that one because you pretty much covered it.
Matt, you got to take the next one there.
Yeah, so I got Cory Knebel. So Cory Knebel is one of my guys. Yes, I am living out in Philly, but I've loved him since we're not his previous team as in the LA Dodgers, but on Milwaukee. And when he was on Milwaukee, that 1 year, he was just absolutely bananas. And he came out of nowhere. He was one of those gems that was like, oh, wow, okay, he stepped up and took over the job and was like, oh, I'm going to take over. So here's what he did in 2017, the year I'm referring to. He had 39 saves. He had a 1.78 ERA with a 1.16 WHIP. And to boot 126 Ks. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do exactly that, but I'm going to tell you one thing. This Phillies team is significantly better than that Milwaukee team at the time, and he hasn't actually had the job where he can actually just get unleashed and get it rolling. But the kid has always been serviceable. It's not like he's had a horrendous ERA or gotten blown up, but when he does get in, he performs. So even last year, behind Kenley Jensen, he had a 2.45 ERA with 30 Ks and an 0.97 WHIP, and to boot 4 wins. So what does that tell me? The kid still got the juice, and now that he's going to have a full-time relief role, I think we're looking at a 30-plus upside. So, I'm drafting him with high confidence, and he's actually one of my sleepers on the year for the relief category.
Yeah, see, this is somebody that I really, really like. I think Knable is going to have a huge year in that Phillies bullpen. Another team that I think is in a tough division. So they're going to win a lot of games. But I think the thing is with them is that he's going to be closing out those close games. Those wins are going to be very close. He's going to be the one closing them out. He could easily have another 35, 40 saves. He did it in, like Matt said, that monster 2017 season, 39 saves. I don't see why he can't do it again with Philly. I think there is a lot of good closer options this year, but I think it's about how you play it. I'm not jumping in, that and like just because everyone did it. I'm not being like, oh, the last 4 picks were closers, so I got to get mine now. As we're reading you off these names, they're good names, but it doesn't mean that you need to, oh my God, the last 4 picks were closers, so I got to get me a Cory Knebel or a Jordan Romano. No, play your hand, wait, and then as be like, oh, I listened to the fantasy MDs. They told me about all these other good closers. If these guys are getting jumped on, somebody else is falling. So, as we go on, our list here, once again, I love Knable, guys.
Let me just say one thing. I apologize.
Yeah, no, bro, come on. This is the have fun episode. We having fun, brother. Go ahead.
So I'm just letting everybody know who had this job in Philly the year before, and he was absolutely putrid. And that's Hector Neris. He had a lot of blown saves. He had 7 blown saves. Yeah. So he started to lose the job at some point. And, they started working in other guys, and he just didn't get the confidence of the team anymore. But if he would have not blown those saves, he would have had 19 saves. And the Phillies lineup actually record would have been a lot different, too, because of him. But also to show when he had a good year, and he's actually one of the worst closers I've ever seen. He still had 28 saves in the 2019 season, being as terrible as he is. And Cory Knebel is going to capitalize and do a lot better than that. And then that's the last I have on that.
Fully agree with you, brother. I mean, so let's move on to our next guy here, who actually just did get a contract this year. Got re-signed. So this is another guy, very, very safe. That's Raisel Iglesias of the Angels. I think you don't really have to worry about him. Another guy, you draft him, you put him in, and he's reliable. I'm going to read you off what he did last year. He had 34 saves, 7 wins, 5 losses, a 2.57 ERA. I don't know if I said 34 saves or not, but I'm saying it again, 34 saves, 70 innings, 103 strikeouts, and an 0.92 whip. Another guy, super, super reliable. So once again, guys, all these closers are very, very good. I'm not going too high on any of them. I'm not going too late on any of them. If you took all of these names besides the top 2, shook them up, threw them out, and said, hey, this is the top 10, the top 8 after the first 2, I'm not mad at it. My thing is more about value of where are you getting these guys in your draft. I know I keep saying it, but I want everyone to remember that when they're going into their drafts, that don't focus on the name as much as where you're getting the guy. Because all of these guys that we just named are very similar. We named off their ERAs, whips, and stuff. They're all very similar. I focused on opportunity. The team, is the team going to win a lot of games? Are they going to get a lot of save opportunities? Are they close games? Then take the guy. Matt, maybe I'm ranting here. You want to take over, because I just really feel like this position is a position to wait on and take the names who are available later, rather than say, hey, I'm specifically targeting this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I have a metaphor for everybody who plays fantasy. So, being that I'm a fantasy baseball player, I also play fantasy football. So what's the position I draft late? And that's tight end, because I genuinely don't care about it normally. They're the least productive position. They don't give you a lot of production. And that's the same thing with closers. So they only really good for one category, and then they kind of give you a little boost in ERA, just a hair. And then every once in a while they throw a win in there and it helps you win your week, maybe. So this is one of those things where I don't care to draft them high unless it's the 1 and 2 there. Other than that, they're after pick 100, and then if anything, I'm just scraping them together. And once one guy loses his job, that's when I'm picking up the next guy, and I'm kind of just rolling with it. So, let's just move on here. We're gonna hit Blake Trinin, the new closer of the Dodgers, the evil empire. Just based off of what he did last year in a supporting role, also with Cory Knebel there, given that little of a indecisiveness of who's getting what. But he had 7 saves last year. He had 6 Ws last year, which is kind of incredible in a supporting role in 72 innings. And he had 85 Ks and a 1.99 ERA and a 0.98 whip. I mean, to be honest, I'm sure those last 2 stats I read off the whip in the area are going to come up a little bit because he's going to have a lot more opportunity. But those saves are going to be there. I mean, you all know about the evil empire.
Yeah,
They're going to be
of
doing their
course.
things. And I think that Kenley Jensen, he had 38, and I think he's kind of towards his end of his career. I'm pretty confident that Blake Trynan is going to step up and just have the same production, in my opinion.
I fully agree with everything you're saying, Matt. And once again, it's the case of literally, if you put a blindfold on me, or just if I didn't have baseball reference in front of me and you were just reading off all of these numbers, I swear all of these closers' numbers are very, very similar. I'll tell you the difference about Blake Trinan, though. He's on the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going to win 100 games, and, he might wind up getting 45, 50 saves. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm going to say this. In 2018, Blake Trinan had 38 saves for Oakland, 80 innings, 100 Ks, 0.83 whip. He even won 9 games. So I think he's actually one that I don't know where I have him ranked. My closer rankings are a bit of in shambles here as I, keep going through them. I have him actually ranked 4th. So I think that's, he is one guy that I will say this, that I am kind of high on. I was saying that, the positions, a lot of these guys are the same. He might be one of those guys that I might be like, oh, all right, well, if I am targeting a closer at any point, he's might be one that I kind of do pick out of the mishmash of closers here. I will throw that caveat out there as we do, kind of get towards the end of the position here. I'm going to go to our last guy, Matt. If you have anything else to say about Trynan, anything? All right, so we're going to go on to our last guy here. That's Emmanuel Clase. Guy who came on the scene last year, for the Indians, now the Guardians. He throws gas, throws 101 miles an hour smooth, very easily. So that's one thing I like about him. He's only going to be 24 years old. I'll read you his stats from last year. He had 4 wins, 5 losses, which I think is more of the team than him. A 1.29 ERA, 71 games, 24 saves, 69.2 innings, 74 Ks, and an 0.96 whip. So once again, kind of similar numbers to all the other closers. But I think the thing with him is that he's only, going to be 24. He could possibly take a step forward. Somebody who I do like, once again, he's not like a Trynan, not targeting him over anybody else. But he's somebody, if I get as my closer, I'm not mad. I think he's a good value. I think you take him with confidence. I think that Guardians team isn't going to win a lot of games, but I think the games they do win are going to be close. I think, so he will get a decent amount of saves. If he gets you 24 saves again, hey, you chalk it up and you're happy about it, Matt, thoughts here on Emmanuel Clase?
Well, he seems very Clase. So
I like that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
What's funny is, the guy's only been doing this for 2 years, and this year he's another one that just finally got the reins like Jordan Romano and showed up. So I think that they were going to be very confident. But the only reason why he's all the way at the bottom and at our top 10, he's number 10, and where I have Romano at 3, is the Guardians are not as good. I'm going to say the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians are not as good as the Blue Jays. And that's the only reason why he's number 10. Actually, he's my number 11. He's not even in my top 10.
I have him a little higher than that. That's how he made the cut.
Exactly. Dom has him at 7. So, he's classy and all that, but he ain't classy enough to break my top 10 because of the Cleveland Indians. If he was on any other team, one of these better teams, I'd probably have him up there and probably my top 5 because the talent's there. And, what I do like to see is when a closer gets the reins and owns that opportunity, there's generally a better production coming the next year. The only thing is, I think he's limited in the save category just due to the fact that they're going to probably get blown out, especially after they try and trade Jose Ramirez this year. So
yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all, Matt. That is the risky thing with Clase. Maybe he does wind up getting traded too if they're doing really bad towards the half of the year. But see, that is the thing. I don't know if he would wind up going to a team where he's closing. Right. So he is a guy to be a little bit careful with. I would draft him lower in that top 10. But he is a guy who has a lot of upside. Very, very good pitcher. Very, very good stuff. Nice fastball, nice slider. So I think I'm not really worried about, if he's a good pitcher or not. Like, as Matt said, it's more about Cleveland and what they're doing as a team. So, with that said, Matt, anything else here, or you want to sign off, brother?
No, let's stay classy, like Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it classy here, but from New York, and Philly. That's all for today, guys. If you do want our full closer rankings, you could email us at FantasyMDs. Just throw us a follow, like, a review, and we'll send you over to them, guys. With draft season right around the corner, you need all the help you can get. We all need all the help we can get. So the Fantasy MDs are here for you. Look out for our next episode that's going to be dropping Thursday. We're gonna probably be talking about like best draft tips, best draft strategies, and how to go about things coming up for this draft weekend, which is going to be the biggest fantasy draft weekend of the year.